Hey everybody, Austin back again with another pinball gameplay video. Today we're going to be playing a few games on Doctor Who, a 1992 ballet table based on the long-running TV series of the same name. Now, this video is actually going to be separated into 3 gameplay sessions. In each gameplay session, I actually specifically go for, well, specific things or goals in the game. Now, Doctor Who isn't the deepest game out there in terms of, well, at least scoring high. It's got a lot of nuances, but to score high, you don't really need to know those nuances in order to succeed. It doesn't really have a scoop to start modes or anything like that. You do have a couple short timed modes, but there's no really overarching goal in terms of like a wizard mode you want to get to or something like that. There are some cool things you can do in the game, like try to collect all the doctors and have all their properties affecting your gameplay on the fly, but there's no like overarching wizard mode. There's no tour the mansion or anything like that. So, on the first game, I am specifically going to be going for that upper ramp. As you can see, Doctor Who actually has 3 flippers. It's got 1 upper flipper on the left-hand side of the playfield. And by hitting that just right, you can hit the upper loop, which is, it's a ramp, and it just loops back around to your upper flipper, depending. Now, doing so can actually be very lucrative. You'll eventually get Sonic Boom started, which will be basically 10 million points a shot on each ramp. However, the upper ramp also activates a overarching playfield score multiplier. It starts off at 1 times and it ends at 4 times. And depending on which doctor you have selected, Doctor 6 in particular, you can actually build that playfield multiplier faster, and thus your 10 million Sonic Boom will become a 40 million Sonic Boom. And when you're in Sonic Booms, you can hit the right ramp, the left loop, and then the upper ramp again for a whopping 120 million. It's a lot of points, very easily. So that's what I'm going to be doing in my first gameplay session. Gameplay session number 2, I'm going to be going strictly for multi-ball. Now there's this thing in the top portion of the playfield called the time expander, and it's actually kind of similar to the visor in Pinball or Jackpot. And how I'd like to describe Doctor Who though is it's like Pinball, but it's to activate multi-ball, you go in the exact opposite order of Pinball. So whereas in Pinball, you have to bash in the visor a bunch of times to open it, and then you lock 2 balls, and then multi-ball starts, Doctor Who is actually kind of the opposite. First, you have to lock 2 balls, and then a visor comes up, and then you have to beat on it, and then once you do that a certain amount of times, these gates will rise, you shoot them, start multi-ball. Multi-ball can be very lucrative, and if you get a little fancy with it, and you get your playfield multiplier up, your jackpots in multi-ball, which I believe are somewhere along the lines of 40 or 60 million a jackpot, will be multiplied times 4, and they can be worth a huge amount of points. Now, my third game, I sort of just play a normal game, kind of. I go for video mode and things like that. I go for Sonic Booms. I try going for multi-ball and things like that. So game number 3, which you're going to see, is actually more of a normal type of, well, gameplay video or gameplay session where I get distracted mid-game, and whereas I should be going for multi-ball or cashing in on that video mode, I end up going for Sonic Booms just because I like to, and it's easy and it's big points. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and get into game 1. Alright, so here we have our first game, and as I mentioned previously, what I'm basically going to be trying to do is just going for that upper ramp all day. Now again, that upper ramp can be extremely lucrative, extremely quickly. I play about 5 minutes worth of this game, and I get a game over, and I have about 1 billion points. So it's 1 billion points for 5 minutes worth of play. And you know, in between, I miss a lot, so I wasn't even playing as efficiently as I probably could have. But that upper ramp can be extremely lucrative. Now, normally, what happens is if you hit the right ramp first, you actually light W, and then the goal is to try to hit that upper left loop to the upper flipper, and that'll spell H, and then you want to hit the upper ramp afterwards to spell O. And that'll give you some points, and the more you do it, you'll get, you know, more points for doing it, and then your bonus X will go up every time you hit that upper ramp. However, what's actually kind of interesting about that, if you want to combo the w.h.o back and forth like that, the ball, when you hit the upper ramp from the upper flipper, it'll actually revert the ball back to the left flipper, I'm sorry, the bottom left flipper, and you can just keep comboing back and forth as such in that order. What you basically want to do in order to get the sonic booms activated is hit the H first before hitting the W. If you try to spell who out of order, once you hit that upper ramp, the ramp will... There's a diverter up there in that upper ramp which will stop the ball and feed it back to your upper flipper. And that is basically what you want to do if you want to try to go for sonic booms. So go for H, don't go for W. If you go for W, it's going to keep comboing and feeding the ball back to the bottom left flipper, which you don't want if you want to go for sonic booms. Now, you can keep doing that. Sometimes I just like to go w.h.o, 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 and then on the 10th time I do it, I activate sonic booms, or sonic boom, while also collecting the w.h.o values the whole time and building my playfield bonus multiplier. Getting your playfield bonus multiplier up fast, as you can see on the dot matrix display, I've actually selected doctor number 6. And each doctor you select at the beginning of the game, or the beginning of your ball, adds a certain overarching elements, extra elements, or effect on the game. So doctor number 6, basically what he does is, if you hit the upper flipper, he builds your playfield multiplier faster. So every time you hit the ramp, your playfield multiplier goes up by 1, I believe. I think that's how it works. If you pick a different doctor, the playfield multiplier takes at least twice as many hits to build up all the way. So other doctors have different effects as well. For instance, doctor number 7, when you get the visor, or technically the time expander, risen up for multiball, whereas normally when we would hit the time expander with any other doctor, it would only spot you 1, and you'd have to hit it about 15 times before you can even start multiball. With doctor number 7, it'll spot you 2 or 3 at once, and then it also adds an extra effect when the time expander isn't even up, which is pretty cool. One doctor will spot you a letter on the escape targets, which are those sort of small blinking lights on the right hand side of the playfield. When you spell escape by hitting all those targets, you'll light multiball. And there's actually sort of a scoop up there beneath the pop bumpers that you can't really see. And if the ball falls to the right of the pop bumpers, it'll basically fall into that scoop. And if you have video mode lit, you'll go to video mode. So, and other doctors have other, you know, sort of effects that affect the current ball you're playing. Now, there's also a way to actually collect the doctor, and that is by hitting the transmat target just underneath the upper ramp. And you actually have to build your transmat, though, before you can actually collect the doctor, and you do that by hitting the pop bumpers in the top right corner of the playfield. If you manage to collect the doctor, his traits will you'll basically keep them for the rest of the game, no matter whether you switch off to another doctor or not. You basically collected the doctor, and his attributes are permanent and affecting gameplay until you end your game. And the goal is to kind of get all 7 doctors lit, and so you can sort of build your points even quicker. It snowballs a little bit faster. But as you can see, I've just been doing sonic booms left and right, and you know, I'm almost up to 1 billion points. And we still have about a minute left worth of this game. So yeah, like I said, basically, if you want to go for sonic booms, it is just hit the H target on the left. If you're playing in a tournament, like at Papa or something like that, usually they put a big fat post up there on that shot. And so what happens is it's actually really tough to make it up into there on one of their games. Mine is not set up like that, and actually technically it's not mine. I'm actually borrowing this from someone. Big thanks to Scott Sidley, who's a local player and pinball mechanic, and he actually offered to let me borrow this game for a tournament I hosted back in the first week of October, and it's kind of been at my apartment ever since. So on the next game, basically what's going to happen, like I mentioned, is we're going to be going strictly for multi-ball. So I basically got 1 billion points. Geez, just from doing that same shot over and over pretty much. I mean, it's fun doing the sonic booms, but it can also get kind of repetitive. In that one gameplay session, I must have hit it like 80 times. if not a little bit more. I forgot what the total count was, but it's definitely one way to build up points. And if you're playing in League or something like that and you have a Doctor Who, that is probably all you want to do if you're in League. Just hit that Sonic Boom Ramp, get your bonus X up, your playfield multiplier up anyway, and then just, you know, the ball will feed back to the lower left flipper, hit the w.h.o, and you get 40 million a shot. So big points pretty easily. So here we are in game 2, and again, like I said, we're basically strictly going for multi-ball here. Now, this game, actually, I have a pretty good ball 1 in terms of multi-ball, and then I believe I have 2 crappy balls back-to-back, so this one might not be as entertaining as the last one in terms of scoring. But I do think I end this game with something along the lines of like half a billion points or something like that, so 500-something million. And, you know, that's not... you know, for having 2 really bad balls, it's not awful. It just gives you an idea of, you know, the kinds of points you can get by just going for multi-ball. I don't really recommend going for just multi-ball because it takes a lot of work to get multi-ball started and it's very risky. As I mentioned in the last gameplay session, once you lock your 2 balls and the time expander comes up, you have to hit it 15 times. Now, again, what I've done is actually I've selected Doctor number 7 before plunging the ball, and every time I hit the time expander, it spots me 2 or 3 at once instead of the 1 it would spot me if I had a different Doctor. So, you know, that's one of the cool things about this game, is depending on what situation you're in, you might want to try to pick a different Doctor after, say, locking a ball or draining a ball or something like that. So, you know, that definitely gives the game a little more depth, and it's fun. And working towards multi-ball doesn't feel as much like a grind if you select Doctor number 7, but it's still risky. What I find really interesting about the time expander at the top is it's not made of just like flat targets like you find in Jackbot or Pinball. The time expander, can't really show to you right now from the top-down perspective, but it's these sort of like little bubble-ish looking targets, and the ball reacts and bounces off them in a very strange way, very much unlike standard flat targets. And the ball can do some really weird things when it's up there and you're hitting the time expander targets. Of course, right now, basically I have done that. I'm in multi-ball right now, and basically at this section you want to hit these these 3 doors that open up, and you basically want to destroy the Daleks up at the top. Right now I need to hit the left door and the right door. You can see 2 Daleks on the dot matrix display right now. And once I do that, I'll collect the jackpot, and right now the jackpot's worth 180 because I have the playfield multiplier up to 4 times. And I got it, 180 million. I mean, that's a very quick 180 million. And some of the jackpots actually get higher than that as you progress through the Daleks multi-ball modes. And then there's a thing at the end called Davros. After you get to collect a few jackpots, depending on where you're on the multi-ball, and the visor basically rises back up, and you have to hit it a bunch of times to basically relight the or reopen the doors to collect those jackpots again. And getting to Davros is actually kind of tough. It's a lot of work because, again, like I mentioned, hitting that upper section of the playfield is kind of risky. The balls a lot of times have a tendency to go straight down the middle. You know, despite it being as long of a distance as it is, the balls still have a really good tendency of going right down the middle in this game. So, or just bouncing like crazy and going down one of your left or right outlanes. So, the highest Davros mode I've gotten to is just Davros 1, and you can actually see that on the dot matrix display, I think, in some part of this video. I don't remember. It might have been the last session. But, yeah, and actually, ever since I've had this game, borrowing it from Scott, I have not had any extra balls turned on. So, you know, realistically, I haven't gotten as far as I probably could in terms of progressing in the multi-ball modes, because I've been trying to play a little more serious with this one, keep it a little bit tougher, you know, keep the extra balls off and whatnot. So, but I also have the tilt set pretty tight, although I think there's actually something that's, I don't know, I think I might have to take the tilt bobber out and flip it upside down, because even though I have it as tight as it can right now, I can still do things like death save it if I have 2 tilt warnings left. But actually what was kind of funny is when I had my tournament about a month and a half ago, people were tilting left and right on this thing. I mean, and I haven't changed it since the tournament. I haven't moved it. But as you can see right here, I can give it a good shake. I can give it a good slap save. I can, like I said, I can death save it if I want to. And I don't think I do that on this video. I thought I did, but I don't actually think I do. So I probably have to adjust the tilt bob even further, like flip it upside down or something. So it looks like we're back in multi-ball, and it looks like we're on Davros now, according to me finishing that last wave apparently. So now if you look at the time expander, you can actually see the 5 blocks, you know, lighting up, and that basically means I have to go up and just whack them a bunch of times. And I don't know the exact count to do so. I don't know if it's 5 or if it's more than that. This footage is actually about a month and a half old, to be honest with you. I actually recorded it, and then it took a little while to actually get to doing the commentary track. So I don't remember how many times you actually have to hit it. So, and it looks like that's it. That's it for that game. And on this next game, like I mentioned, basically what we're going to be doing is just playing. So here we go on the next game. And one thing I actually do in this this gameplay session is I try to do a lot of video mode, and I actually managed to fully finish video mode. And what's actually kind of interesting about that is in this gameplay session, that was the very first time since having this machine since August that I've actually completed video mode. Not that I've really tried going for completing video mode before, but I purposely went for it in this video. But I also do some other things. I think I might activate multi-ball. I'd probably get a few sonic booms while I'm at it. So yeah. Now what's really interesting about the pop bumpers at the top right of the playfield is they build towards your transmat target, which again is housed just right underneath the upper ramp. And if you just hit the pop bumpers just back and forth, you know, they raise the transmat value a very specific amount. However, if you hit the if you hit the pop bumpers in a very specific order, like left, right, and then down, or you have to hit them like one after another, there's some order if the ball manages to hit them in, it'll actually build the transmat faster. I don't know what the specific order is, but I thought that was kind of interesting once I found out about that. So if you're all about maybe trying to collect your doctors, you can just try to get the ball up there, hit those pop bumpers, and eventually build your transmat, and you can try to hit that transmat target to build your doctors. What's also good about the pop bumper area though is there's basically 2 exits to the pop bumper section. One is to your left, which kicks it back out to the main playfield, which isn't always that good. But the second exit from the pops is actually directly below the pops, like I mentioned, and that puts it into the scoop, which will basically, you know, feed the ball right back to your right flipper. Every time it hits that scoop though, it'll spot you a letter on the escape targets, which you can again try to hit normally, but when you actually spell escape, you'll light video mode. And so what you can keep doing is just keep hitting the ball up to the pops, build your transmat value, and then, you know, every time it goes to the video mode section, it'll spot you a letter to work towards video mode and actually activate video mode like you see me in right now. At the end of video mode, if you press both buttons and jump into your telephone booth, you'll get a small extra bonus value, which is kind of cool. Sort of like a little Easter egg, if you will. But yeah, so hitting it up to the pops it's not a bad strategy. You can just play video mode all day if you want to, and if you get your playfield bonus multiplier up before you activate, you know, your video mode, you can actually get some decent points from it in the end if you just keep keep defeating the video modes. So as you can see, I'm in Sonic Booms now. Unfortunately, the playfield multiplier isn't up all the way. And Sonic Boom is about to time out. You can see the H and the O targets blinking. That means Sonic Boom is still going. And it's over. You only have a few seconds to do it normally. However, one doctor that you can play as, I don't remember which doctor it is, when you're playing as that doctor, his effect is that the W, H, and O targets will stay lit longer, so you'll have more time to actually combo between W, H, O, which also means you'll have more time to combo the sonic booms. Now, you don't have to actually, to collect sonic booms, you don't have to hit W, H, O in that specific order when you activate Sonic Boom. However, if you don't, you'll basically miss out on a Sonic Boom from the previous letter. So if I activate a Sonic Boom and just hit the H first, I don't think I can go back and hit the W and collect that Sonic Boom. You basically have to go in order to get the entire 120 million. As you can see there, I backhand the right ramp. And the right ramp is very, very backhandable in this game. And sometimes if you get it just right, you can even backhand it on the fly. It looks like it's impossible, but it's actually, you know, sometimes you can control it. It's pretty cool. Doctor Who is a very good flow-oriented game, you know, in terms of at least hitting your right ramp, your H shot, and then the upper ramp. So it's very fun to just keep comboing back and forth, and then sometimes you're starting your combo out with a backhand on that right ramp. You can even, as you saw in my first gameplay session, if the ball rolls up on the lower left flipper just enough, you can backhand it into the H shot, which is really fun as well, and then just start wailing on that upper ramp. So as you can see, we're back in the video mode, and I had not video mode, multi-ball, sorry. Had an absolutely horrible multi-ball. However, if you don't actually collect a jackpot in multi-ball, you'll have a chance to relock your balls, and which is what I'm trying to do right now. Now, what's actually really interesting about this is I managed to get it relocked at the very last second, like it's past 0. And what's great about a lot of these dot matrix display era Bally Williams games, and same with like your modern Stern games, is there's usually a slight bit of buffer time. So even if the time runs out or it hits 0, you'll have like half a second or more to re-hit that shot and get it restarted. So there we go. I basically nailed the shot right as 0 passed. And we're back in multi-ball. Although I don't think the multi-ball is actually anything to write home about. I don't think I performed very well here again. So got the jackpot right at the very end, right as my other balls drained. Now, another way to collect your doctors is actually by performing well in multi-ball. And as you can see, I have, you know, 5 of the 7 doctors collected, essentially. And I got really lucky there. Sometimes if you try to lock a ball and it's not lit, it'll pop it straight back out. And a lot of times it has the tendency to go straight down the middle. And I believe at least once it'll give the ball back to you. Because, yeah, it's not any fun when you try to lock it, it's not lit, and it goes straight back down the middle. Now, to relock the ball, or relight the locks, you have to hit that yellow light just in between both lock shots, and then that'll basically relight your locks. And what is kind of a wise move, if you've already played multi-ball and your locks are not lit, it's good to hit that target, because what's going to happen is the ball might ricochet into the locks, but again, if they're not lit, they might spit the ball right down the middle, and that's not good. So no more tilt mornings. And I think I ended up just going, you know, continuing to go to video mode, and that's it. And then we complete video mode. Unfortunately, I don't have my playfield X up at all, so I'm not getting that many points for it. And it looks like when you complete video mode, you collect your doctor. I'm not sure if that's how it works. I didn't really read into it, but it looks like I just got the doctor for doing that. So I got 50 million just for getting all the doctors. Now, I don't know if your playfield X multiplies that 50 million value, though. I mean, if it does, you have the potential to get 200 million just for collecting all 7 doctors, which is it's a nice little chunk of points, you know, for free, kind of. You just collect that doctor and you get 200 million. That's provided if it gives you 200 million. I don't know. I don't know if the playfield X multiplies it. It's a cute little animation you do if you basically beat video mode. And this was the first time I ever completed video mode in Doctor Who, so that was actually the first time I experienced that animation, and I thought it was pretty funny on the spot, so you could hear me laughing in the background. So there's a sonic boom, and that's it. I got 2 sonic booms. I hit the W. Unfortunately, I did not hit the H, but I still managed to get the ball up to the O, and so I basically collected 80 million from that. And that's, if you're playing in competitive play, there's really no reason to go for anything else other than the sonic booms. That is depending on how, you know, quote unquote difficult the machine is set up. If that left shot is really, really tight, it might be hard to get sonic booms going. But also, depending on how easy the machine is set up and how quickly you can get the video mode, it might be good to just keep milking video mode all day as well. I mean, because it's relatively safe to get the ball up there. On this specific Doctor Who, the ball does have a tendency to bounce out of the pops and back into the playfield, so that's one reason why I actually don't purposely shoot the ball up there that much. It just seems like it's a little risky in some cases and not consistent enough, and that was bad. I totally could have, should have flipped and saved that. So, but there you have it, guys. Doctor Who, again, by Bally, a 1992 release. Now, there's a couple other things I didn't really mention. You have those repair targets up in the top left-hand corner of the playfield, and they don't really do a whole lot. I mean, you can get some bonus points. You can get, I think, like, one of the doctors will give you 1 million per target, which isn't too bad if you're playing multi-ball or something. And then, I don't know if the playfield X multiplies that, but if it does, I mean, you can potentially get many millions from it. Doctor Who does not have any outlane posts. It's just straight metal all the way, so saving the ball when it gets to one of the outlanes is tough on this game. But, you know, if you try to dig that metal rail right into the ball, you can deflect the ball back into play. It's a little bit harder than it is with, you know, the rubber posts, but... Doctor Who's a game that's really about making your shots, and as you can see, when I got punished, it was because I missed my shots, and once the ball starts going sideways in this game, it's very, very tough to recover from that sometimes. It can also be a very fast game, and this game also has lightning flippers as well, so you might have to adjust your aim if you're not too familiar with those. So anyway, guys, I want to say thanks for watching. Again, this was Doctor Who pinball gameplay. If you want to see more pinball gameplay videos, I have a video on Bally 8-Ball from 1977, and I also have an older video on the Stern Rolling Stones pinball machine. I also have a Data East Star Wars pinball video coming up shortly, so definitely stay tuned for that. And with that, I'm out. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you guys soon. Take care.